Hi, it's Maria, and I'm doing another Maria Unfiltered, and this series is the Forgiveness to Love series. And so here we are already on part 4. And so I'm anxious to share this with you. And it's kind of interesting because I am staying with a friend, and I've been looking for a blank wall where I could set up a camera. And what the only the only option was this yellow wall behind me, and with the lamp turned on it really looks like I've been trying to situate myself so that it's not so obvious, but it's there's like this aura behind us. And so I thought, oh well, that's absolutely appropriate because it's not me, but it is like this whole series, which is all about bringing the darkness to the light and exposing the darkness so that we can all become better and more awakened and more aware. And so anyway, you can see it, and I've tried every which way, but I yeah. So anyway, anyway, I wanted you to know that forgiveness, because when I was thinking about doing videos on forgiveness, I thought, oh my gosh, forgiveness really is like our greatest challenge. It's the greatest challenge facing mankind. And of course, something just popped up on my phone now. So, um, forgiveness and phone issues might be the greatest challenge of our lives right now, because we are all kind of married to our phones. But in any event, let me tell you that I had to delve deep into my subconscious, and was nearly swept away when I tried to come up with a list of those individuals that I had to forgive. Because it seemed absolutely endless. And I don't know if you've tried to make up one of those lists, but it really is an interesting exercise, and I encourage you to do that. And so you might see, as I did, that virtually everyone you know could potentially be on that list. Oops, my camera just moved. Oh, and so it also allows us to embark on a critical life review, which is anything but pretty for most of us. And it also affords us to look at things from a higher perspective, because when we do that, we can connect with our heart and we can see the entire landscape that nourishes our soul, because we are so blessed to have so many wonderful experiences that we can call upon, and try to understand what was the gift in that. And we will be blown away when we look at things with our eyes wide open and our heart opened as well. And so I know when we hear forgiveness, I always found it a little creepy, because I just wasn't sure that any human was going to be able to forgive me. And so a lot of other people as well, too. It's kind of like a giant eye roll. And it's kind of like the Pope wearing, and I'm not Catholic, but it's kind of like the Pope, wearing a bejeweled crown and robes, reassuring his followers, or perhaps like the Queen, and she with her scepter. And so she knights her subject, right? And she says, there, my phone slipped again. And she says, yes, my child, you are forgiven. And so Jesus actually explained, we must forgive those who have hurt us. And for many of us, it sounds, crazy, if not impossible, because we think of the mom who goes to court and whose son was perhaps killed by a gang member, and the mother goes to court and pleads with the judge and says, "Please forgive. I forgive this person that did this horrible." Had this horrible behavior and that did this terrible action to my son. And so, many of us have grown up thinking that only God, can forgive us. Only God, only the energy of all creation, only the infinite intelligence of the universe can forgive us. And so not only must we forgive, but who is it that we must forgive? You know, if are we to make out a list, or is it all inclusive, or just certain people and others we don't forgive? So do we forgive those people that hate us, or do we forgive only those people who perhaps didn't do something deliberate, and yet it still affected us? So Jesus said that we create heaven when we forgive those who hurt us. And he also said, I can bring God's forgiveness to you, but only you can bring forgiveness to the people who have offended you. And so that's really how powerful human beings are when you think about it. When we forgive, that energy that we send out is received by others. And it's kind of like that, what is that Hawaiian prayer, the hokapoko ono, or whatever? Yes, we can say it all day long. And when we do that, it really, the energy does, it does affect those to whom we send that energy to. And so at the same time, how can we forgive the unforgivable? You know, remember, everyone is on their own path and they face God at every moment, whether they know it or not, right? And no one can escape the pain and the suffering that one causes another, whether it's through the energy of thought or words or actions. Everything that we see, think, say, and do is metaphorically seen by what? The eyes in the sky, by the hierarchy of heavenly beings, by our ancestors, by our spirit guides, right? By our guardian angels, by the ascended masters, by the Christ himself. Because everything is known by all. Truly, there are no secrets. And it's not just the camera at the stoplight that is photographing people that are running the red lights, or that is, you know, in stores. It is, the energy is such that we are all, there is such an energy of transparency that everything we do is recorded, actually. And so there are no secrets, and we can't get away with cheating anybody or hurting anybody or doing something that is less than who we are and thinking that no one's going to ever find out. I mean, all the people that cheat, really, they think, oh, well, my wife will never find out, or my husband will never find out. Well, lo and behold, perhaps at that time they didn't, but ultimately people do find out. And it's in our best interest to find out, right? Because otherwise we're really living a lie. And so it's so wonderful that we are able to see the people that we are in a relationship with, or our neighbors or our bosses or our friends, because then we know who we're dealing with. The mask falls off, and then this is the person that we're with. And so we can then behave with them in a way that is better for us, right? We're not cheating ourselves. We're not cheating anyone else. We are being honest, and we know who we're dealing with. And so there are souls, that have sold their souls to the dark, to you know whom. And they carry that burden forever, because if they mistreat, if they lie, if they cheat, steal, defame, abandon, throw people away, they energetically, they're no more than loveless bodies. They're no more than walking corpses, really, because they don't have that connection with the divine source, with the creator, with their battery, so to speak, with that energy that is truly who they are. And so when they lose that and they sell their souls, or they sacrifice themselves, they by creating suffering and pain for other people, then they're lost. Those human beings truly are lost, and they can't see how they've hurt themselves because they're so focused on hurting you, right? And so it's up to them to wake up and to find the joy and make the world a better place. And so some, unfortunately, are so far gone that they will never be able to turn their lives around. They refuse to go to the next level. Their evolution is stunted. They've fulfilled their purpose of creating challenges so that your light shines even brighter. And when you think about that, now let's dissect that for a second. When you think about that, the dark creates challenges so that we see contrast, so that we can see who we are, so that we can see the light that is within us. And so we have to have the dark as part of our life in order so that we can really know who we are. And that's really a beautiful thing, because these souls have actually sacrificed themselves to live in misery and suffering and kind of a self-created purgatory, if you will, so that we can see the difference. We can see the contrast in their behavior and the things that they say and do versus what we represent for ourselves. And so I had to see that in the three characters who have, tried to destroy me, my ex, my sibling, and my son, who have caused me inconceivable torment and pain and suffering. And I had to see them for who they are, and to know that these are people I can't possibly trust ever, because they have deliberately just pained me and deliberately hurt me in such a way that clearly I felt that they were trying to destroy me. And so I had to see them for who they are and keep them at a distance. And so that's the beauty of the awakening and being aware of our environment, because we are here to love ourselves. We are here to take control of ourselves. We are here to protect ourselves. And so there are dark outside forces that are trying to destroy us. And we need to stay strong, and we need to set boundaries, and we need to do whatever it is we need to do in order to protect ourselves. And so when others create pain for us, they have stunted their own spiritual growth, as well as their mental and emotional growth, along with their ability to heal, because they certainly can't heal as they're creating pain and suffering for us, right? Their ability to move forward. They can't move forward. And certainly their ability to love, because first and foremost, they themselves have taken a hit. They can't love themselves, because it's actually vengeance that turns out to be like their dish of the day, if you will, you know. And so when people hate, it's actually they behold a heart that's cemented shut. And so that's a pitiful way to live, really. And so the key to forgiveness is an understanding that the hateful acts for many people are not personal, because dark souls look for dark targets. And these are dark souls that would behave in a way that would harm another. And so many human beings feel that they have spent lifetimes being someone else's target, right? But actually, each time we have had a choice, because we needed to ask ourselves, could we forgive ourselves? And could we forgive others? And then could we love ourselves? And could we love others? And would we forgive? And would we love? Because you see, the haters are also tested. The haters don't forgive themselves, because only those who hate themselves hate others, right? In order for someone to tell you that they hate you, they must hate themselves so much that they can't possibly feel any other way toward you, because that is what they hold in their heart, is hatred and anger and uh, low self-esteem and low self-confidence and self-deprecation and all of those negative dark feelings that they hate about, that they feel about themselves. And so then they project that onto you. And so it's about getting to the root of the problem instead of just the blossom on the top. It's not about you forgiving anyone else or anyone else forgiving you. It's about you forgiving you. Because the others, remember, the others are you, right? We are all aspects of the divine. We are all aspects of one consciousness, or we are all one consciousness, right? So the others in our life are merely reflections of us. So if you hate an enemy, who is it that you hate? You end up hating yourself. And so this, my beautiful friends, is really the key to Tut's tomb, if you will. It's the golden treasure. It's the gold bullion. It's the gold coin. It's the gold bars. It's the pearl in the oyster, or the diamond in the rough, or it's the get out of jail free card, right? And so it's one of the most important messages that Jesus shared, because if any of you have watched my videos, you know that I absolutely believe that we are on a journey of self-love, and we're learning how to love ourselves. And that's really our life here in a nutshell. And so despite being surrounded by jealousy and greed and anger and manipulation and defaming and cheating and thieving, the dark is the dark, because the dark projects their unhealed wounds onto its target, right? So it's kind of mind-blowing that it's so simple. And Jesus explained this, and he explained this to his disciples, and then through them to the rest of the world, which is that we are all on a journey to embody self-love and to heal and to be whole. You must forgive yourself. And you must forgive yourself so that you can love yourself. Because if you still harbor any unforgiveness, then you can't love. It's impossible. And you must forgive yourself before you can forgive another. And you must love yourself before you can love another. And so the bottom line is, you have to forgive yourself before you can love another. So that's why, that is why deep down, the dark detests being in the dark. Because the dark energy, they made a deal, as we said, with you know whom. That's the one. But you see, when we realize that we have a connection to the divine, and we love ourselves and we love others, and we behold that energy deep in our being, then we are forever in humility of the energy all around us. And so we're capable of showing unconditional love to ourselves and to others. And so it's when you think about energy that way, it's not some kind of a a concept that is just so esoteric. It's actually palpable, And so, and it's beyond a belief of sorts because it becomes visceral, right? And so you have to release all that no longer serves you in your quest to really know the truth of who you are. And, in this life, we will come across frenemies and enemies and users and takers and murderers and rapists and, those who have caused many of us to lose faith in mankind. And I had to reframe all who stole control of my life and tortured me for fun. And it was their fun. I can guarantee you it was not my fun. And so we wonder who could possibly do something like that. And now you know the answer. And it's the people, the dark souls who cannot forgive themselves and they can't love themselves. So, of course, they can't love you. So, if you're in a relationship with someone and you don't feel that this person is capable of loving you, then you understand that they don't love themselves. So, how can they possibly love you? Because it's not about you, it's about everyone's relationship with themselves first and foremost. And so you hear about tortured souls torturing souls, right? Tortured souls torture souls. Hurt people hurt people. They don't love themselves. So how can they possibly love you? So it's not, you don't have to take on that guilt. Just release it, throw it away because it doesn't belong to you. They can sneer behind their fake smiles and they can become, they become all too obvious when the mask falls off. And when the mask falls off, then you know who you're dealing with. And so you realize that they can't even be civil to you. And that's why they're so ugly. And because their mission is to sabotage you and to dim your light and to exterminate you, if you will, and to make sure that you don't make it to your next birthday. These are fractured souls, and the fractured souls bring pain and hurt and harm and destroy you until you forgive them. And once you forgive them, then you've forgiven yourself. You have. And that's your test. And that's what spiritual warfare is all about. And the amazing part of this test is that there's no studying for it and there's no preparing for it. And it's only an understanding that you have that only a low vibration person, a person who is vibrating at a very low rate, could hurt you, or steal from you, or do anything negative to you. Because only desperate people want to ruin someone else's joy. And so I realized that that the people in my family tried to ruin every holiday. And so, yes, whether it was birthdays, my birthday or my children's birthday, whether it was Mother's Day or Father's Day or an anniversary or Valentine's Day or anything, the holidays that, had such happy memories for me, became really ugly. And really ugly things would happen. Like my mother took her last breath on my son Stephen's birthday, which was the 21st of May. And of course, I mentioned in my other videos about my Nana, who was like my second grandmother, and how she mysteriously died during my divorce on the same day as her brother, my grandfather, years. I mean, he died years later. He died when I was 3 years old. But she died during my divorce, and she and my Uncle George were both died during the divorce. And she died, and then my father actually died on the same day as my Nana in 2010. And when I spoke of my Uncle George died of a doctor error. It's called a iatrogenic error, which is a mistake that a physician makes. And so he died shortly after he had an appointment with his physician, who had changed his medication and erred in changing that medication. And so I think his electrolytes were off. And so he suddenly died. And of course, if you've watched my videos, especially the first and the second one in this series, I explain how my parents were basically murdered. And so the dark is out there in full force. And we can see now with the pandemic, and we can see with a lot of things going on out there in the world, the dark is, our planet is being purged. And I won't get into that right now. That's kind of another whole subject. But we understand that there are no coincidences, right? And so dark energy does manipulate us. And so there were weird things going on holidays. Not only the deaths of those that were near and dear to me, and the only thing they had in common was they were part of my family, and they were my rocks, my pillars of strength, and they loved me and I loved them. So sometimes the dark does target many of us who are committed to our spirituality and to a spiritual path. And so I also saw that during holidays, this is so weird. I'm embarrassed to even tell you, but men were actually seduced, like on my birthday, or on a Valentine's Day, or on, you know, um, days that would have some meaning, like even my dad's birthday. And women, like from their past, would surprisingly just call. Well, I knew that my family was behind like all of these stupid little setups. But nonetheless, it showed me that I needed to grow because I didn't handle it well at all. I mean, if you're celebrating your birthday and then all of a sudden, you know, your significant other has to go someplace, because they were told it was something important and they actually left. And then you realize what was going on. And so you realize that that you need to handle things better because those people maybe aren't meant to be in your life. Because if anyone would fall for that trap, then that's just not the right person for you, right? Because we have to be self-aware. We know that the dark wants to upset us and cause us pain and grief. And so we have to rise above it. And so we have to be very careful with whom we share our energy and with whom we share our life so that we can trust. And so when when there are situations like that occur, we understand that we're being guided to exercise more discernment so that we are so that we can make better decisions and make better choices on with whom we share our energy, right? And so for instance, on my kids' birthdays, my food was poisoned, or the wine or the chocolate would make me sick. And so that's part of spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare destroys happiness because we all know misery loves company. And in the video I made yesterday on part 3, I did tell you that I had, because there were so many instances of people harming me, I did speak with law enforcement, and they did tell me, quite frankly, that in fact, poisoning is rampant on our planet. And in fact, many times when people believe that they have cardiac issues, it's really a function of a poisoning. And so we need to be very mindful of what we place in our temple, because our body really is our temple. And so we must take heed and protect ourselves. And so the more we move forward and the more awakened we are, And the more aware we are, then we can have immense gratitude for our life, because then we realize that we're being gifted with one incredible moment after another to travel this path, um, in a more awakened state and in a more empowered state, um, because we understand that souls sacrifice themselves to dwell in their own self-created purgatory, you know, as we are allowed to elevate. And so the takeaway is really that haters and stalkers, suffer when they bring hating and hatred and suffering to others, and that this must be so. And the answer is that the energy we send out is the energy that's returned, and that's karma. That's reaping what we sow. That's the golden rule, you know. And so we the more we can see through the lens of love, um, then we realize that it's not about them. It's all about us. And so it's not about them. It's not about they, them, and those. It's not about, for me, it wasn't about the ex or the sibling or the son who was responsible for uh, so many of my losses and creating so much pain in my life. Um, because it's all about me. It's all about Maria. It's all about you. It's all about your health, your safety, and your sanity. And that's the only way that Maria could understand who Maria is and who the others in her life are once their masks fall off. And as one medium, as one psychic medium from the UK says, the mask falls off and then the creepy crawlers and the worms, are exposed. I don't know if I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be so visual, but with a visual like that, you really do understand that it's a facade, and people are misrepresenting themselves in order to take advantage. And so we need to put a stop to that, because we're not here to murder ourselves. We're not here to be less than our God-given potential. And so we are here to live empowered lives, and we are here to help others, and we are here to ultimately um, help the lost, but at the same time, not sacrifice ourselves in so doing that. And so for me, I had to love the lost, but I love them from a distance, right? I'm not going to allow the lost to destroy my families. They destroyed my mother. They destroyed my father. They destroyed my children. They destroyed many years of my life. And they destroy families all over the place. And they commit crimes left, right, and center. And so they destroy our society and our planet. And so as you watch this series of Forgiveness to Love, we really are transitioning from forgiving ourselves to loving ourselves, because we are here to forgive ourselves and to forgive others and to love. And so we become familiar with who did what in our life, and yet we may never know why the dark refuses to see the light. But they do, because otherwise they wouldn't be so obsessed with power and control and greed. I mean, those are very low vibrations, right? And the dark thrives on jealousy and envy and superiority, right? And they like to say, oh, look at me, I'm special. And yes, I want to be you, but since I can't, I'm going to crush you and make you squirm. And I mean, that is just so pitiful, right? And yet, when you look around, I'm sure you can recognize that some people do hold that energy toward you. And so those people, are so far gone that they have no concept of who they are and what they're doing. And so um, whole and healthy people don't hurt others. They don't, they care about others, right? They love others. they don't stalk, and they don't harass, and they don't gossip, and they don't ruin, and they don't hurt. Did I say that? They don't criticize or judge, um, and they don't allow the darkness to attack you. And so there's no respect or no concern for our fellow man when in fact we allow this. And, we're missing the concept here because we are all in this together. But the dark has not evolved to the point where they have an understanding of that. And so until they do, they have to be kept at a distance. There are different solutions. For instance, the people that have thieved can actually repay those from whom they thieved, right? The people who have stolen and who have done such horrible deeds, they can go and feed the homeless and help the homeless and help clean up the planet and serve and and do things that benefit others rather than just completely draining the energy of those on the planet who are trying to make this world a better place. So, human beings suffer when they have no connection to the divine, to God, and to their creator, and they wallow in separation and they feel alone and isolated and shunned and disconnected. And that's their karma, really, because when you think about it, suicide is off the charts, right? Now, in this day and age, depression is at an all time high. Families are falling apart, relationships are shattering, and people, by and large, feel lost. And they're ripe for temptation, right? To go down those deep, dark paths of addiction and obsession. And so we have to remember that the dark feeds on the light, and we are the light. And so its goal is to extinguish our light. And so we're not going to allow that. And so in the next part, you will hear details that I've never shared before about forgiving ourselves and loving ourselves. And so in the meantime, remember to stay strong and to know who you are and to create a life of joy and peace and harmony and a life of smiles, laughter, and giggles if you so choose. And to see things with eyes wide open, right? And an opened heart that changes everything. And so until next time, until part 5, I send you my very, very best. And I send you love. And I love you. And I look forward to seeing you again. Okay. And I wish you a beautiful, beautiful day and evening. Okay.